Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast show. And South Africa, we do, of course, need to have the really important conversation. We've been alluding to the fact that the 21st of November is just around the corner, and there's a reason why a national shutdown has been asked for and called upon by Women for Change. Now, as we know, every day in South Africa, the realities of gender-based violence and femicide confront us with a staggering brutality. At least 15 women are murdered, and over 100 cases of rape are reported. Now, you can imagine how many are unreported. And these numbers barely scratch the surface of what's actually happening in both our homes and in our communities.
Yeah, now the most devastating truth is this, that GBVF is not a crime of strangers. In the overwhelming majority of cases, the perpetrator is someone the victim knows and trusts. I'm talking about a partner, an ex-partner, a family member, or even a friend.
That is just harrowing. It's terrifying. But as we know, it's not just a crisis, it is a national emergency. So that's why this morning we're going to unpack it all and just chat amongst ourselves and you. You can weigh in on the conversation at Expresso Show or hit us up on our WhatsApp line just to talk a little bit more about GBF, which is gender-based violence as well as femicide. And the facts are harrowing. We're top 5 in terms of femicide across the world, in fact. And I do want to say, Zanele, congratulations and thank you to you for actually using your platform for good. You put out a post on Instagram that we spoke about yesterday on the show that really gave me chills in terms of it all. Can you just talk to it before we play it for our Expresso family?
Of course. Thank you so much, my friends. And Zanzi, I think we all know that femicide is such a terrible thing that we deal with in this country. I mean, even our own president has gone on to call it a pandemic of its own. And essentially the video, Carissa, was just me trying to really put in a very different way how we as girls and women in South Africa don't feel safe. It's always so scary when we step into certain spaces and you find that you're the only woman there, or there aren't a lot of women, or even just walking in the street. It's a scary space for so many of us, and that shouldn't be the case as women in South Africa. That shouldn't be the case for anyone in South Africa. But I think it's so harrowing knowing that so many of us are afraid to lose our lives every single day. And that was pretty much the crux of the video, my Carissa.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you so much for putting that out there. And again, like Carissa says, using your platform and your voice, you are someone that a lot of females out there are inspired by and look up to. So having your voice lent to this is absolutely perfect. And if any of you haven't even had a chance to see this right now, let's play that video just to get an idea of what exactly we're talking about.
Get ready with me as I tell you all the ways that I feel safe in South Africa as a woman.
And I think the silence there is exactly what she's alluding to. We don't feel safe anywhere. Yeah. And that's exactly why the 21st of November is so important in South Africa. And of course, leading up to this, Women for Change has called for this national disaster to take place on the 21st. And it is a matter of urgency. They've even, as you said, created an entire visual to go along with this. They've created a casket covered in hand-woven purple Zulu beads, with each bead symbolizing one woman who lost her life to femicide. And inside it, they place photographs of victims and a QR code linking to their stories. And of course, we can think about names like Uyenene as well as Tehofatse Pule. And I mean, the list just continues, and we need to unbury the truth of the matter.
Yeah, so this is the entire talk and the hype with regards to profile pictures being changed, this movement that's happening online as well. Something that I landed to in South Africa and was taken aback by it, to say the least. Speaking to women and to both of you right now, being in this space so consciously, why do you think it's so important that this is treated like the crisis that it actually is? Why do you think that we need to highlight this as an actual crisis in our country and make mention of the fact that something needs to happen here?
Absolutely. I think digital activism is so important. I love the fact that we're seeing purple profile pictures everywhere just to raise awareness. Yeah. But I think that's just the beginning. Hey, Zanele, like we need to continue further than just an online platform and maybe move it to the streets as well.
100%. And with you asking, Raul, you know, why it's so important, I think it's so important so that we have some sort of faith in our justice system. I think that there's so many stories that come to light every single day where we hear about a young girl that was raped by her principal, or a young girl that fell pregnant because of an uncle, or a girl that went missing and was found murdered in a field. It's every single day that we are hearing about these terrible stories, and it's not fair. It's not right that as women, not only do we need to live in fear, but we even need to live in fear for our children and live in fear for our loved ones as well. I don't think that that should be anybody's reality, and the scary thing is that it is our reality. And you touched on it as well, Carissa, earlier on when you said that those are, even in terms of the stats that we have, those are the ones that are reported. There's so many women who don't even come forward because they feel like they won't be believed. And that in itself is also such a problem, and why it's so important that we have this specific shutdown, why we have even these conversations, because every woman deserves to feel safe in South Africa.
I mean, agreed. And when we talk about this, it's a systematic issue. I saw one poster that someone held up. It said, boys will be boys, and they crossed out the boys. Boys will be held accountable.
As a man, can I ask this question to you as females? What can men do in this situation? I'm not part of the government. I'm not part of a massive organization, but I'm a man, and I realize that I'm part of that problem. What can we do to try and help change, impact positively? What should we be trying to action in this current situation that we're in? Is there anything that we can do?
I mean, if you're looking for a step to start today, I would definitely say that boys need to be held accountable from a young age to even conversations that you have with your boys. I think so often casual sexism just gets, slipped through the cracks. And we need to kind of call out that behavior, because if conversation becomes normalized around speaking about women in a particular way, treating women in a particular way. I mean, recently we also saw the rise of that chat that got leaked. Many people were just saying, what is this the conversation you all are having on WhatsApp in your group chats? It is kind of scary, because if that's what we're accepting, then on the streets, in our bedrooms, in our streets, what are we also saying yes to without really realizing that we're accepting to? So, Zanele, what can you say?
I 100% agree with you, Carissa. And Maral, I'm so glad you have asked that question, because there's so much that men can do. I know that Dr. Kanyile, she is a pediatrician who really touches on a lot of different things, particularly on men's mental health. And she put out a video, just kind of talking about how men listen to men. And for me, I was like, oh my goodness, this reminds me of a video I literally wanted to put out 2 weeks ago, where I was going to appeal to the successful men in this country to please mentor young boys in South Africa. And I only say that because when I have a conversation with a colleague that's a woman, particularly in our industry or any other industry, there's a lot of us who are like, oh, this person's my mentor. I speak to this person, I speak to that person. But when it comes to men, there's a lot of them who don't have older people who are speaking into their lives, telling them that they're doing right or doing wrong. And it's almost like they're figuring things out on their own. So I think mentorship is such an important part of trying to solve this problem. And more than anything else, I think it's about men having those conversations, just like Carissa said, amongst themselves, so that they know the difference between right and wrong and do hold each other accountable.
I'm starting to digest a lot of what you're saying, and it is starting to make sense to me, because often I think as a man you feel that, hey, I'm not partaking in these activities, so it doesn't involve me. I'm not a part of this. But you're absolutely right in what you're saying, because it starts with that conversation. It starts with us being aware and calling it out and saying, hey, dude, that's not how we speak to women. It's not how we do things, or that's not how we treat them in a certain way. And I think it's responsibility of men in South Africa right now, especially, I'm talking to all you gents out there right now, that we need to step up. And I think we need to also do our part in calling out anything that is a red flag or something that we do notice. We have to be more aware and more present in these moments to discern between what's right and what's not. And I think whether it's family, whether it's your closest friends, your brothers, your sisters, it shouldn't matter anymore. This should be a normal conversation that has to start happening more often, because it's the truth, it's our reality, and we're living in it right now. And I think this is starting to make sense in a small way. Thank you for that. I love that answer.
Of course. And especially when you think about the facts that we're faced with. And again, these are just reported cases. I mean, between 2023 and 2024, 5,578 women were murdered. A shocking 33.8% increase. And to represent this reality, like I said, that casket was created. And then with it, they walked to the union buildings just to hand over a memorandum and say, we need change. Please, guys. 21 November. November, if you're able to participate, is when it all goes down. Women for Change have called upon this country to, of course, participate in a national shutdown.
Sure, man. I'm actually really starting to look out for the real men out there. The real men out there. Where are you? Put your hands up. Let's stand up. Because you know you're not a real man if you're doing anything like this to a woman. And you can take that as a fact. So we're the men out there. Let's start being the inspiration. Let's start standing up and having good conversations, pertinent conversations, because it's our time to start doing a little bit more about the situation. Because, yeah, you can't abscond yourself from responsibility. You are part of this right now. We are part of this. Thank you guys for that. I really enjoy these answers, and I think it's a conversation we need to continue constantly.
Absolutely. Zanele, thank you so much for creating such awareness on your platform and continuing this conversation as well.
Thank you, my friends. I think that this is also just where it begins, right?
Yep.
Conversations between the people that we get to do work with, people we get to do everyday life with, because then it spreads and it becomes more and it becomes an actual movement. So thank you, my friends.
Absolutely.